Hi, welcome to Encouragement for Today. I'm Pastor Emily. I have a ball of fluff awkwardly on my lap here because someone was protesting from the kitchen when we were trying to record. But I thought that actually ties in really well with what I wanted to talk about today because I've been studying the book of and here he goes, just kidding. I've been studying the book of Lamentations to get ready for Sunday. And I find it fascinating that sometimes we think we're supposed to put on a good face in the midst of challenges and pain in life. Whereas Lamentations, it shows us that God doesn't expect us to be silent. We can be very vocal. Lamentations is a book that is full of poems about grief, where there's protest about the way things are and how they shouldn't be that way. There's a sense of processing emotions that are difficult and processing grief. And it's also full of confusion. It's not cleaned up faith where, somebody slaps a smile on and says, well, God has a plan. It's raw. It says, no, this is not how it should be. God, this is confusing. And it's a whole process. One of the things that I've loved discovering about the Book of Lamentations is that it's 5 poems and they're written creatively. They're written in the aftermath of when the unimaginable has happened. Jerusalem was overtaken by Babylon, and that was not supposed to happen. This was God's gift of land to the Israelite people. So the unimaginable has happened. And they're grieving. And whoever survived and wrote these poems in the aftermath wrote them with creativity. The first 4 out of 5 poems, they're written in a way where each line starts a different letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So for us, it would be as if we wrote the first line of a poem starting with the letter A, the second line B, C, and it goes down through the Hebrew alphabet. So it's like in the middle of chaos, I'm trying to create order, and I'm expressing the raw reality of this tragedy. There are signs of hope in the 3rd poem where it was like the seeds of grief will lead to noticing how salvation and redemption, God's mercies, they do show up. And so there's this belief that we're sowing seeds of grief, but we will see new mercies and faithfulness come about. But I love that the 5th and final poem, it doesn't tie things up in a clean bow. It says, like, God is the eternal king, but then it also says, have you forgotten us? So there's this faith and there's also doubt in the same thing. And the whole book concludes with sort of this open-ended question of, like, well, have you forgotten us, God? And it's not answered. And so this book, it stands as a reminder that we don't have to pretend like we have perfect faith all the time when we're faced with the unimaginable. We can grieve honestly to God. That's welcomed. It's in the Bible. It's part of faith too. And I think of how when we are grieving, maybe there's a space for creating out of that too. I remember in college, I was grieving a particular thing that had happened in my life, and one woman said, well, have you tried writing your own psalm? So writing your own prayer poem or lament. And she said, or have you tried painting how you're feeling inside? So if you're a more creative person, maybe that's something you'd be drawn towards. I'm not a good painter, but even putting colors and shapes and splashes on a page that reflected what was going on inside of me, it was a form of release before God. And we're not asked to put on a good face and grieve quietly. God loves our engagement and participation and our honesty. So I hope this is a helpful reminder for somebody out there, and we'll talk to you again soon.